Live from the R&R studios in the good old friendly city, it's the Boys from the Wheel podcast.
What's going on, guys? Welcome into the R&R studios for another edition of Boys from the Wheel podcast. Today, we have a awesome guest with us today. Wanted to come on the show later on. Unfortunately, some things happened. Couldn't get him, but finally got him on the show. We'll get that in a second. Guys, how we feeling?
Ready to get at it.
Doing pretty good over here.
I think today's gonna be a good show. I think he's gonna bring it. He definitely brought it all season long. Without further ado, today's guest, defensive lineman, offensive lineman, fullback. I'm sure he could probably sell popcorn if we wanted him to. Is big athlete Joel Zellem.
What's up?
How we doing, brother?
Hey, I'm great, man. Appreciate you guys having me on.
No problem, man. So we talked a little bit about your high school days before off the air a little bit. You and I talked about it. So let's talk about that for a few. Where did you always start? Offensive line, defensive line? Were you kind of here, there, everywhere?
So I was both until my sophomore year of high school, and then I blew my knee out my junior year and missed my whole junior year, unfortunately. And then my senior year, my coach came up and was like, "Hey, do you want to play O-line or D-line? We're only going to play you one way because we know that we have a time frame on this thing." My first surgery didn't work. So I was obviously, I want to play D-line. And then I played D-line all 6 years in Waynesburg, and that's kind of always where I was split.
Yeah, so talk about your days in Waynesburg. I mean, you're only, 45 minutes to an hour away from us?
Yeah, so in Cannonsburg, I'm only 20 minutes from Waynesburg. I grew up in Beaver Falls, so that's about an hour and a half away. But Waynesburg, it wasn't your stereotypical journey at all. My first 4 years, I didn't see a lot of playing time. We weren't very good ever. I just didn't click with the coach. I don't know if it was the head coach or the coordinator or both, but for whatever reason, I wasn't a good fit for them on the field. And I was actually ready to be done after my 4 years. And then we got a new head coach. After my fourth year, I was 320 pounds because I kind of let it go. But as soon as I heard that Waynesburg was getting a new coach, Coach Coleman, he was actually a guy that I was connected to. I had an academic advisor because I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. And I mentioned coaching. So she connected me with Coach Coleman, who I believe was at Duquesne at the time, or RMU. And as soon as that I heard that he got the job, I had his number already. I was like, "Coach, welcome. Like, you're going to have me back. I want to come back." And he didn't really know much about me as a player as much as he did as a man from the previous conversations that we had. But my fifth and sixth year were a lot of fun. I was an all-region, all-ECAC guy. Set the career record for block kicks in Waynesburg. I had 9 in 3 years. If I would have played, man, I know Marcus Hunt, 17 block kicks in his career. That's an all-time NCAA record. I would have had that record had I played. But I was grateful that Coach Coleman came out because if he didn't, I would have been done after the 2021 season. And that's why I'm still playing today. So Coach Coleman's my guy forever.
That's awesome. And then you transition, you got an invite to the scouting combine, correct?
Yeah. So my defensive coordinator is Coach Arnold, and he's a guy that's worked there for a few years. And he came up to me halfway through the season, and he was like, "You know what? Like, hey, I have this combine. Like, you're a good player. It's like I'm going to take you at the end of the season." And my last year there wasn't what it was supposed to be. We had a lot of new guys. We didn't gel as a team until the very last game of the season, the very last half of the season, I should say. And so that was something that gave me a little hope because I didn't have any aspirations to play football after being a D3, kind of lost in the passing of things. So he took me to the combine and the showcase game. I thought that was going to be my last game. I honestly, there's a lot of guys there that looked the part, and I know that I looked the part too. But you never know going into a thing. And so the combine was great. Do you want me to get into the combine?
Absolutely, because I mean, we've touched on it a little bit, but that's where you met, Coach Rez and Coach Prevost at the time. But then Prevost ends up being your teammate. So yeah, touch on that a little bit.
So I get there and I'm looking around at a bunch of D2, D1 guys, and there's probably 7, 8, or 9 D3 guys. So I know that going into it, I was like, man, like, I don't know, scholarship athletes. I don't know where I stand amongst these guys. My times weren't super great. I did okay on the bench, but the numbers weren't as good as they wanted to be. And then I ended up going into practice, and we only had like 6 offensive linemen. So during the lineman periods, O-line, D-line, they were off. We got breaks. And you know what? I was like, I don't really want to break. You know, I went up to Prevost. I talked to Coach Wilson, and I was like, hey, it's like, can I get some reps at fullback, maybe tight end if you're feeling it? And they were like, yeah, we'll throw you in there, see what you can do. And Prevost, man, he called an option route. So if it was cover 2, I would take the corner. If it was cover 3, he wanted me to run the seam. And I was like, all right, these are all football concepts that I know. And it shocked him a little bit because I was just a D lineman. But so it was cover 3 over the middle, and I ran the seam, and I turn around and jump up, and I catch the ball right here, and the safety helmet under my chin blew me up, and I brought it down, but it hit his helmet incomplete, and I was pissed. I was like, give me another one. And Prevost was like, are you good? Like, you look concussed. Like, you look like you got concussed. I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, run it back. But him and I spoke after that, and he was like, dude, that play right there, like, you jumped and changed direction in air at 300 pounds. Like, that doesn't happen. He's like, that's when we knew. We got wide-eyed, but we had to keep our chill. We couldn't tell you that you had it because you needed to work hard still. So fast forward to the combine game, I played a lot of fullback because the dude on the white team, it was white versus blue. The dude on the white team, the tailback that they had, he was like, I don't want to play fullback. And I'm like, okay, like, that's fine. This is all I want to do. So I played fullback, D-line, O-line, some tight end at the combine game. They ended up giving me the MVP. Coach Rez actually offered me a contract before the game even started. So he knew what he wanted. And he talked a little bit, and I thought he was crazy because my college recruiting, our coach before Coleman was talking about, hey, we're rebuilding, blah, blah, blah. We want you to be a part of the rebuilding, blah, blah, blah. That seemed relevant. That seemed valid. And Grove City, which hindsight's 2020, Grove City's like, hey, we went 1-9. We're going to try and flip this thing and compete for a championship. I don't care if Penn State comes in and offers me. Like, this is where I'm at. And to me, that's like BS. Coach D, great coach. He ended up winning championships in Grove City. He was not BSing. So Coach Rez comes around, and he's like, hey, man, look, we're building this team. You're going to be a utility guy probably, D-line fullback. And in my head, I'm like, this is great. He's like, we're going to win the championship. I'm like, go undefeated, win the championship. And I'm like, whoa. I did this once before. I thought it was BS once. So I'm not going to make this mistake again. And everything they said came to fruition.
And when was this? January or
February.
December? Wow.
February, yeah.
So he said this in February. And
Called
then
July.
February. Yeah,
July
called
happens.
it in wow. And then, July comes around and we're walking off champions. That is insane. So so you get out of there, you sign the contract, you go into camp. What's your first thoughts going into camp and seeing like everybody that's transitioning and trying to learn the game as much as you are?
So going into camp, Coach Rez was like, hey, we're bringing in new O-line later. You're going to be with the first O for now. And I haven't played, like I said earlier, offensive snaps since my sophomore year of high school. And he's like, you're going to be with the O-linemen. Like, all right. I texted my dad that day. I was like, hey, like, I need you to come in. I need you to come over. I need you to show me some stuff. I need to get these fundamentals right. Because when we were going for equipment pickups, Dre Portis, the champ is here. Bup. The champ is here. Bup. And like, this dude went to Marshall. He's telling me stories about how Randy Moss is his big bro and he's best friends with Julian Edelman. And it's a little overwhelming. Like, being a kid from a not successful Division III to, I'm going up against this guy. He's old. I hope he's slow. And that's the guy that I have to play against in camp.
Yeah.
So going into it, though, I had the mindset like, hey, dude, you doubted yourself at the combine a little bit, stacking yourself up against people. It's like, don't compare. Like no matter how loud this guy is, when it comes down to it, when it's camp, hit him in the mouth. And Portis was a veteran. He's a guy that belonged on the team, so he didn't exactly go 100 miles an hour every rep. For me, like, I'm trying to make it. So anytime I had a chance to look good against that guy, I made sure to do it. So I didn't compare myself to anyone. I just did my thing. Zay Lewis, the D tackle, that's who I was behind on the defensive side. And then on the offensive side, it was myself and D Dixon to start out. And, I ended up winning out the starting job on the other O-lineman that they ended up bringing in. And so I was just like, hey, Dad, like, we got to go over this. The day before camp, I watched Joe Thomas film. I watched Lane Johnson film, Trent Williams film, because I didn't know how to get into my stance, guys. Like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, because you're used to getting, down in probably 4 points. Yeah.
Sprint stance. Yeah.
Well, yeah, your stand up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm going to put in my head before my snap. All right, inside forearm on my inside knee, hand on my outside leg, and kick. High chin. High chest, low chin, and I just kept repping it. And Max Bradshaw, he's a younger guy. Coach Bradshaw, he's a decent offensive coach. But my dad really helped me hang in there for the first 4 games until we brought in Dom and BT. And you guys know those guys are monsters. But yeah, no, it was an experience, and I just did my best against whoever I could. And nobody was really better than the DNs I faced in practice, so game time was relatively easy.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the number 1 defense in the league, I mean, look at here you go, going up and getting a pass there. Unbelievable, big athlete for sure. That's one of those calls that I was hoping that you would, make the defender miss and try to get in the end zone on that one. I'm sure you were too.
Of course, yeah, but he hit me in the back with a 5-10 yard running start, and he ended up on the ground. So you tell me how that looks.
True, that's true. So let's talk about the season that you and the Miners had. Unbelievable season inside and out. Touchdown that should have been. We'll get to that too. You know what? Let's talk about it now. I watched it on the replay because I'm in the booth calling the game. It's a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you said later on the ref did apologize to you, correct?
He didn't directly, but he made sure to tell Rez that he was sorry. And that because there's a picture. There's a beautiful picture. Bob took it. Bob, what's his last name? The media guy, the picture guy?
Ovies.
Ovies. Bob Ovies has a beautiful picture of me diving and reaching. And, man, you could put that on a picture up at a bar. It was such a beautiful picture, and nothing was down. And I was just like, man. Like I counted it. It counted,
I don't blame you on that one. I mean, it was a great. Here you go. Finally in the end zone on this one. And I had to laugh because you had the big celebration on this one. You sold this one. You were just like, all right.
All right. Finally got it. I try to do my best because, it's a team, right? So on my first one, I watched it back and I was like, yeah, I spiked the ball and did the Gronk robot thing. And I was like, damn, like Pete came up and was like dapping me up and stuff. And I didn't even pay attention to him because dude, I don't score a lot of touchdowns. I had a chance to score one in college and it was 95 degrees out and it was a 40-yard pick that I got tackled at the 1, unfortunately.
Oh.
But so I don't score a lot. So when those things happen, it's just 3,000-ish people are just screaming and yelling. I know my family's there. I know my son's there. So to me, after those plays, just I don't remember.
Yeah, this is why I understand it, man. So I have to ask, we had a great season, win a championship. How's the knee? How you feeling? What's the rehab like for next season?
I have an appointment on Tuesday with the doctor that did my second knee. It was an experimental surgery, so I made sure to tell his secretary, hey, listen, I was one of 4 people to get this operation. I'm playing professional football in Wheeling, if I could get in. So she got me in relatively quickly. So right now, I'm just doing my normal workouts. Shout out Jake from Grissetti's Performance. Shout out Kyle from Grissetti's Performance. They're taking care of me. So a lot of single leg stuff, and I've never been a fan of that because I do have arthritis in both my knees, but it's something that you have to work through. A lot of single leg stuff, single leg Bulgarian split squats, lunge jumps, things like that, just to keep the legs strong. So if evidently I do need surgery, the recovery isn't as bad as when I went in. So I've done this plenty of times before. Hopefully it's not too invasive, and I'll be able to get back to what I'm doing in a couple of weeks.
But You and I had some conversations during some practices, and I was checking on you, making sure you were good. And you're like, "Oh, I've been through this many of time. Like, I know what I'm doing. I know what it feels like. We're good." Like, so it's nice to hear that you are doing good and excited for next season.
Yes, sir.
So the boys got a couple questions for you, and then I want to talk about. We'll come back around to all these jerseys up here, and we'll talk about some other stuff. But go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, go ahead.
So talking, you were just the answer before, talking about like you're in front of 3,000 fans and stuff like that. How has the city of Wheeling like embraced you and like your team as a whole? And then second part to that question would be like when you're in town, like some things that you've found interesting to do, like places you visited or anything like that.
So the way that the team has been received, early on, it didn't pick up until midway through the season, and then after that, after we made the announcement that we're going to the NAL and that we're staying in Wheeling, they really treat you like you're an NFL guy. Like, and it is like I've had plenty of guys at River City buy me drinks, and I've been recognized throughout the city. Like, people pay attention, and Wheeling is shocking. I don't know if it's shocking. I'm an outsider. I don't know much about Wheeling or the people in Wheeling, but they rally around us, and I say the playoff game, the final score is 28-17, but we got to 28 because we backed them up defensively, and the fans got loud and ended up having a false start, a bad snap, and the fans really won us and clinched the end of that dagger playoff game. Like, the fans are awesome, and I got to get used to it because like I said, small D3 school, not a lot of success. You're not going to see that unless you're on the road against Grove City or WJ or Westminster. So the whole, like, I have a hot dog and I'm trying to throw it to my family, and it took me 3 attempts to get one to my girl finally because all the fans are like, "Oh, I don't know that's his family behind," and they're Beckham on a glizzy before I could get it to my lady. So. But the fans are awesome. Like, they're amazing, and it's definitely a new experience to have that type of fandom for a guy like me. So it's new, but it's awesome. And what was the second part of the question?
Well, also feeding off of that, like signing your first autograph. I mean that has to be a cool moment.
It's crazy because when I was like 14, I signed this beat up football. And I was just like, this isn't going to be my last one. And like halfway through like my college, I like ended up covering. I was like, yeah, like the dream's dead. And then I ended up getting to Wheeling, and people were like, hey, the first autograph that I signed before Wheeling, I was an intern with the Washington Wild Things. And a little kid was like, hey, can you sign my ball? And I'm like, dude, I'm an intern. He's like, I don't care, sign it. I'm like, all right, fine. At that point in my head, I was like, oh, check that one off. I signed another ball. Great. And then Wheeling, like, dude, all the kids coming to autographs, like people asking me for my gloves and stuff. And I'm just like, I need this for the next game, man. Like, championship, I'll give it to you. And I never really saw any of the kids that asked me for equipment, but I ended up giving it away anyway. But yeah, it's sweet. Signing autographs, it's when somebody wants you to sign something because of what you're doing, whether they know we're not an NFL guy or not, like, it's a cool feeling for sure.
Have you found any cool spots around Wheeling to hang out in?
So when I go to practice, I have to leave as quickly as I can because my lady works from home, and I need to help do dad stuff, and she still ends up doing most of it when I get back because that's just who she is. She's amazing. And but I end up, Vicelli's is probably my favorite spot to eat. Shout out Macy. It's just easy to get a steak calzone or a large barbecue chicken pizza. River City obviously is cool. I'm trying not to leave anybody off the list. Tito's, not just dogs. Shout out Chris Burris and his family because that place is awesome too. They're really good people, knowing the owners and the whole family that makes the thing go. I'm a big fan of Tito's as well.
Yeah, John.
All right. So we talked a little bit here. You touched on it earlier. You're playing multiple positions sometimes in the same game. That takes a lot of prep. Like, what does your week look like leading up to a game?
So we had film every other day, every day. I know the week of the championship game, we ramped it up and had a lot of film. But to be honest, I've never, like in high school, I had 3D coordinators. In college, I had 3D coordinators, 2 head coaches. In high school, I had 2 head coaches. So, learning new things in terms of football, especially learning new things isn't difficult. It's been my whole journey. And we didn't have a big enough school where we could pipeline coaches to always run the same system, through youth, through middle school, through high school. So learning new offenses, learning new defenses, it's never been difficult. It's because it's just, if you don't play. And I was always, especially at Waynesburg, I was always obsessed. Do what you have to do to get on the field. So I always knew everything. And I'm a defensive coordinator for my middle school, actually. And so it's not hard for in football to pick up those concepts, especially on the offensive side. It's very easy, just 30s and 50s for the O-line. Obviously, when we're calling a play, it'd be like, hey, left, fake toss, left, tight end, corner. It's like, oh, I'm the tight end. I have the corner. So it's very simple, very easy. And then the defensive side of things, it was actually a little bit harder because I wasn't getting the reps because I was one of the 4 offensive linemen that we had for all of camp and for the first 4 weeks. So I wasn't getting a lot of defensive reps. But picking that up at the end of the day, it also wasn't that difficult. I could have done a better job myself, doing more time studying. But during the season, I was working 2 jobs as well. So it was just, whatever I could do. And it wasn't too bad.
Now, like you talked about coaching a little bit there. What's the best part of that? Working with the younger kids, like, picking up a game plan and watching them, rally around it.
Yeah, and you just said it. When you see them rally and you see them learn and you see the light bulb go off, like, oh. So like our coach wants to run a full house look, so it's 3 backs in the backfield, 2 tights, and he just wants to pound the ball. And I'm like, that's great, but we got to put this in so we have a little bit of an ulterior, attack. And so I actually installed, we call it Deuce. It's just a 2x2 with a Y off. And I'm like, all right, hey, these are what we're calling, zone left, zone right, jet left, jet right. And the way we do our route combinations is left to right. So it'll be, Deuce right, Y off, play action, fake inside zone left, come back, slant, come back, and then the Y would block. So it was very easy to install it that way. And then it's like, hey, Deuce right, Y off, play action left, comebacks, slot, slant, Y trail. And it's like, all right, the quarterback, he's got a lot to learn, but his name's Bean Jackson. He's got a lot to learn, but it's like, all right, in the huddle, slot, slant, Y trail. And it's like, Enzo, what position are you playing? Slant, got it. Dorian, what position are you playing? Trail, got it. So it's like starting to click for them. And then the defenses, we keep it easy. It's a 4-4 look. We're trying to run cover 1 pole every time if we can. Blitzes are easy, and coverages are easy. It's as soon as you get a guy in a position and you're like, hey, in 2 you have flat, in 3 you have deep third, and it's repetition and it's patience, because these guys not everybody in middle school is in love with football like that. And they're not playing Madden, and they're not playing college football. So these are new concepts to them, and you need to make sure that you explain it to them in a way that they can understand. And I have to learn to dumb my lingo down, because I talk to them like they're high school, college kids, and they're just not yet. But we got a good group. I wouldn't take the job to lose. I would take the job to win a championship, and that's what we expect to do at Riverside Middle School.
Cool. Move.
All right, so I've heard some rumblings about Coach Rez's pregame / halftime speeches.
Okay.
So I kind of want to see your take on how that progressed you guys through the season, or just how, in fact, crazy and absurd they were. It
wasn't crazy and absurd. Isn't the way to describe it, but the way that he just had. Like the biggest one was in Maryland when we played the Eagles, I think, or it might have been the Warriors. I get them too. They're the same to me. And
it'd have been the Eagles because that's the only time we went up there.
Cool. So it was I believe it was 10-3 at half, or maybe 17-10. It wasn't a good game. It wasn't a good facility, to be quite honest, and the refs weren't good. So there's a lot of things going on, and we're not handling business. So it's three big things that are just piling on each other. Grant Russell, MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, probably a top 5 arena quarterback in the country. If he won't say it, I will. Okay, I'm on the record for that. He hit the ceiling like 6 times on our money plays. So things are just a wreck. But he goes in at halftime and he's like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Who thinks they should be playing at the next level? Raise your hand. And we had a couple hands. He's like, no, be honest. It's like, you put your hand up. You put your hand up. You put your hand up. Most of you should. Are we playing like it? I didn't think so. Go handle business. And it ended up being an ugly game, but we ended up pulling it out and taking it. But most of the time, dude, it's just like, they don't fucking belong here.
That's what I would expect to hear.
I don't even know if they could afford a bus. Send them on the van on 3. 1, 2, 3. Send them on the
That's the stuff we were expecting.
yeah. I'll give you a little bit of it. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, Coach Rez, that's my guy. He's definitely. I'm glad that I play for him, because if I didn't play for him, I would have a completely different take. I promise you.
Dude, I'm surprised you haven't asked him about the Luan jersey back there with the big Titans homer that you are and the big Michigan man that you are.
Bro, I already talked about it a little bit ago.
It's the Oilers one.
I got 2 in the closet right now. I got a design on the way.
Do you have a Taylor Luan Oilers jersey?
Yeah, in the closet. In the closet.
He never got to put that one on, unfortunately.
It's hanging out with Derrick Henry jersey that I'm about to go burn too.
So we get right. So we're gonna talk about you've got multiple jerseys hanging up. Who are your teams? We'll start. Let's go college first. Do you have a college team at all?
So, in college, I'm very, very weird, because for me it's hard to follow. Just because I'm a big players and numbers guy.
Okay.
So for me, like, my mom graduated at Pitt. She was a nursing student. I don't know if she graduated top of her class, but she was close. But so the love for Pitt has always been there. And then I went to Waynesburg, which is 20 minutes north of Morgantown. So backyard brawl.
I say that's a tough spot to be in.
I'd go and just have fun. I like both teams,
Yeah.
So Pitt,
I'll let them know that.
I'm a Dion fanboy, so I like Colorado. And then it's funny because, again, college football is weird, but I'm playing college football and I have a dynasty with Kent State. And, I'm a weird guy in terms, like, I was a San Fran fan from like 2011 to like 2014 when Cap and Navarre. I could literally name you all 22 starters from that team because of how many times I played them in Madden. So I don't like Kent State, but I'll cheer for them because I have that experience where, like, hey, they're making my emotions go crazy when I'm losing 40-37 with 30 seconds left against Bama. So it's like, hey, I think his name's Krishan McCray. He's like, hey, this guy who has 3,000 yards on the year and is winning the Heisman out of Kent is tired. Hey, random generated dude I just pulled out of high school, you need to catch the freaking ball. So when they get your heartstrings, they get your emotions. Like, you start to see that and you're like, oh, Kent State's on? Sure, turn it on. I'll watch Kent. Like, I know I played the video game with some of those guys.
Yeah.
So my top 3 are Pitt, WU, and Colorado.
So do you like the game? We've been talking about it. We've been playing it nonstop. I mean, was it worth the wait, you think?
So I actually was late to college party as well. So growing up, we didn't have money to burn. So the games were COD, the games were Madden, and the games were, whatever was free on Xbox. So I'd never had NCAA. My dad was a huge NCAA fan. I'd play it when I go to a friend's house or whatever. So I missed that. I missed the NCAA, and everybody's like, it's the greatest game ever. So I get on the hype train. I'm like, yeah, I'm pre-ordering the deluxe version so I can play it 3 days early. It's a fantastic game. I've had a lot of fun. Man.
It's deep, man. It's deep.
It's sweet. It's awesome. Like I have a dynasty. I have a road to glory. I have an ultimate team in the dynasty. Like Kent State. If anybody at Kent State sees this, take it for face value, please. The offensive line does not give Tommy time. Okay? And I only play offense because I want the games to go quick. I want to scout. I want to do all that. So I only play offense. And Tommy Ulatowski, God bless his heart, because man, we're recruiting every O-line prospect we can. Right? So I'm sure those dudes are fantastic football players, but in the game, they need to fix your ratings or something because it's bad. And I get it gets me in the heart, man. It does. And that's what you love about it. The anger, the happiness, the joy, like all of it. And like my girlfriend's like, babe, why do you play games that piss you off so much? It's like, you just don't understand. Like the games that piss you off the most, 2K, Madden, college football starting to get roped into there. Like, you're like, damn, it's the highs and the lows. And like,
you just went through our entire lineup of everything that we play.
Yeah.
Dude, I signed with Michigan as a quarterback.
Of course you did.
Right. And I was like,
whoa.
Hey, we barely beat
calm down
Fresno
here.
State.
Let's
we
calm
barely
down.
beat Fresno State.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing.
It's like, hey, I beat Pitt week 1 by 10, and then week 2 I lose to Bowling Green by 30. What happened from week 1 to week 2?
All right, a whole lot. These kids were out partying all night.
Something. I mean, somebody was in the DMs. Like,
Johnny Manziel throwing a party.
something. I mean,
Hey, say what you want about Johnny Manziel. If I'm scouting, that's who I'm looking for. All right. I'm looking for that.
I like it. So we've talked it a couple times. You don't really have an NFL team either, do you? I know you.
No. I'm a Steeler fan through and through.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
John's your only hope over here in the corner. So
Okay.
John's a big Steeler guy. So
I can also
John, my man.
over there.
I can also do 0.
Who's the Browns fan?
John and I both.
Do you know that Ben Roethlisberger has as many wins or Super Bowl appearances as he does losses to the Browns in his career?
I'm gonna put this finger right here into something else.
I just was asking a question. I just was seeing if you guys knew your facts. My bad.
Well, see, and the big one that I knew was that unfortunately he had the most wins at Cleveland Browns Stadium, more than any Browns quarterback before Baker Mayfield. So, and he played there once a year. So I mean,
one time.
Yeah, one time a year, and it's just awful. Awful.
I'm so glad he's not playing anymore.
Yeah,
Thank God we don't have Kenny Pickett. That's where I kind of stand. That's in terms of quarterbacks.
I like Kenny Pickett in the Steelers jersey.
I liked him too, and he had it, and he would come out late in games and do what he had to do late in games. And I was like, all right, we signed Russell Wilson. Give Kenny some time to sit and breathe because it hasn't been great for him.
Yeah. See, look, he starts talking about Kenny Pickett and he freezes.
The disrespect.
Kenny, shut it down.
Just like their offense, they went nowhere.
Kenny said, "We ain't talking shit on me today."
He sold his house in PA or Pittsburgh. He said, "I'm out."
He did.
Joel's coming back. So,
it's funny.
But Sean, I fully expected him to go in on us with the whole Steelers and Browns thing. I was waiting on it. Like I sat back. I was waiting. It was there a little bit.
Yeah.
And I just seen John smiling down there just because he knew. And Moose like, I ain't got a horse in the race. I'm just hanging out. Like,
I mean, all I said was that's very unfortunate. That's all I said. That's unfortunate.
It is. Yep.
I'll fight these battles in the group chat. It's nice to have some backup.
yeah, that's true. That is true. I mean, you do have Rashad, but I mean, he don't know much.
God, I know he's listening.
What do you mean? Rashad's got like 10 different jerseys from 10 different teams. What do you mean?
Well, there's your unfortunate, Sean, or Demuth. His computer died. He'll be back. So
Just like John.
Kenny Pickett did it. I swear to God, it was like the strike thing on yesterday. They got him. They made a phone call and said, "Shut him down."
There's that rain coverage we were talking about.
How about him talking about Rez and
Tinsley talking about the candy getting knocked off.
I'm like, that's exactly what I want.
Pickett shut your computer down, didn't he? You were talking shit on Pickett, and he shut the computer down.
The cord fell out. Did real quick, and now the system's updating. So you know how it goes.
That's all right.
Yep.
At least we got you.
Is the audio okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah,
we got you on the phone.
Anyway, I was sitting there hoping that Pickett was going to sit behind Wilson for a year because Wilson is what it is, and come back and then be good. And then he was, as soon as we signed Wilson, he was like, "Hey, trade me," and I'm like, "Yo." That's not who I want to be my quarterback. So I flipped because I had to, in the group chats against my friends, everyone wanted to take a dump on Kenny Pickett. And I was the biggest Kenny Pickett defender ever. I was like, hey, look, fourth quarter comebacks, et cetera, et cetera. There was the debates were there. And man, then as soon as he requested that trade, I was like, that's you stabbed me in the heart and the back, Kenny. So
now you go get Justin Fields to return kicks. Yeah. So
well, if we have Fields return kicks, then what did we sign Cordero Patterson for?
Yeah.
I don't know. You saw the did you see the trailer for the new Madden? They showed that exact thing. I don't know why they showed that, but they did.
Was Jalen Warren that said we might have Fields return kicks?
Yeah.
First of all, if that is even remotely a possibility, he was definitely not supposed to say that publicly. Second of all, what was my second point? He wasn't supposed to say it publicly. That was my first point. I don't remember what I was going to say after that. But yeah, Cordero Patterson should definitely be back there, and let's hope that he can make some shit bang back here.
I'm curious to see what happens after this season because they're both only on the 1-year contracts right now.
Yeah, I think it'll just depend on how they play. You know, if Wilson does good, because I think Wilson could turn it around in Pittsburgh, organizational wise. Like you got to think, like Seattle, good organization. Denver, at the time, chaos. You know, then they bring in Sean Payton. That's how Sean Payton got his. That's on his guy.
Yeah.
So you bring him to Pittsburgh. We got a good organization. You have the pieces on both sides of the ball. It's like wrestle. Let's see if we can turn the clock back a little bit, similar to Joe Montana in Kansas City or Geno Smith in Seattle. Those things are. Quarterback is the most dependent position in football. You need a line, you need guys to catch, you need the coach to put you in a good position to succeed. So, especially even with Justin Fields, look at the roster that Caleb Williams has and look at the roster that Justin Fields had. There's a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the most in sports. It's the most dependent position in sports. And I think the only thing that comes close to that is maybe pitcher. And that might be it.
Yeah. Pittsburgh's good on the baseball front, though, as well.
Hey, above 500.
We're above 500. Okay.
I mean, with the pitchers.
Yeah.
I say that until not.
Don't mind the trash can beater down here in the corner.
If we do not I will never invest myself into the Pirates again.
Prepare yourself.
If we don't pay, I'm prepared. If we don't pay him, I'm done.
Sorry, he'll pull Garrett Cole and go to Houston in 4 years. That's all right.
If we pay him, he won't. He likes Pittsburgh.
That's true. He does like the organization.
And give that man the bag.
Yeah. you look at the paperwork, he is on track. Let's assume he keeps us up, right? Because he's young, he's only going to get better. That's how it's supposed to go. He could be the best pitcher of all time.
Yeah.
You heard it here. Maybe.
Hey, there you go. Joel, yeah, I forgot to ask you, are you on PlayStation or Xbox?
Xbox, for sure.
Okay.
Thank God.
So,
There's a story behind that one, too.
oh, Jesus.
Because I was always Xbox growing up, and then, my Xbox friends didn't want to put up with me. Hold on, I'm going to fix you. Didn't want to put up They didn't want to put up with me on 2K anymore. So I switched to PlayStation because my roommate and my friends in college had PlayStation. Then on my first PlayStation, the HDMI port broke on the console. So then I went back to my Xbox 360, never gave me a problem. Then I bought the PS5, then the HDMI port does the same thing. Then I go back to my Xbox 360 for a while, and that thing never wavered. Steady hand, always took care of you, even if you treat it badly. And PlayStation is great until it, abuses you, and then you got to end up leaving, go back to your ex again, and your ex is like, hey, you're home. And I was like, all right, message received.
Alrighty.
Well, the reason I ask is because it was kicked around before it came out when we had an event up at Quaker State, and Russell talked about it, and so did Izzy, about an online dynasty with everybody. Ooh. So, yeah. So there's a possibility that we might be putting one of those together, and by your look, you're definitely interested.
Super. And we got to just make sure that we have a schedule. So I've been a part of competitive Madden leagues.
Yeah. We did one ourselves.
Yeah. The prize was a PlayStation 5.
Oh, wow.
When you couldn't get them.
Yeah.
Like the commissioner of the league was like a super rich retired dude, and he was a dog, by the way. He was like 60 something, and he ended up being so good at Madden, and he put together a league. He's like, hey, prize PS5 for this league, prize Xbox Series X for the other league. So like, there's a very different ball game when you have guys all over the world. Like, oh, all right. So So the only thing that we need there is if we're gonna have like 10 plus dudes into a online dynasty, it's like, hey, one game every 48 hours or so. Like, it's going to take forever, but it's going to keep everybody invested and involved. So I'm definitely in now. I don't want to commissioner it because I have a son.
Well, I mentioned something to Coach Rez about it, and Coach Rez was like, I'm in. Here's the thing. Him or Grant, we cannot give them actual franchises. They have to start at the bottom because they will be able to run through and coach. No, I'm not dealing with that. Uh-oh.
He's going back to the other one.
Oh, there he is. All right.
I'm the worst guest of all time. I was a half
No, you're good.
And my shit died in the middle of it. Like,
it keeps it interesting, man. Like,
keep you on your toes.
Yeah, we said
John never plugs his phone in, so he always.
Hey, we deal with this all the time.
Everyone can have a successful podcast if everything goes right. I'm just testing you guys to see if you can make it when Facebook.
Well, there you go. There you go.
I think we should all. I think we should all pick the unranked teams.
Yeah, but I think.
I'm with.
I think Coach Rez needs like the Pandas or something. Like
I played
FCS
Grant,
Pandas.
I played Grant in Madden. Okay.
Yeah.
He's not very good.
Well, okay.
He plays like a quarterback, but he's not. Like, if you're running a cover 2 look and you leave with your middle hole player and you come back, he's not going to see that because you don't see that on the football field. So,
okay.
Grant can probably pick who he wants. And
I can't wait till you play me. You don't see shit. You have no idea. Like, he's playing some basic ass BS on it.
Yeah, I'll pick Syracuse. I'll put that out.
But I also love how we're already talking shit, and Grant's not even here. We're already.
Yeah, but we all said there's no way we give Coach Rez a team that's worth anything because.
But he might not be good at video games.
Yeah, he is. He was already running the table and the guys in the hotel. I've heard stories.
No.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Like, with his offensive schemes and his defense, like, he'd be running stuff. We'd be like, "What is that?"
But it's
That's not in the game.
It's not like in Madden, you have a playbook option that says Coach Rez on it.
True. Who knows? He may make his own. You never know.
You can't make custom for the franchises stuff. So
exactly.
Dude, he probably spends so much time just sitting there looking through plays. Like, oh yeah, like jet sweep reverse slot option pass. Like, oh, okay. Where the fuck did you get that from?
Dude,
I'm already taking my defense right to the side of the field. Take a seat.
Some of the stuff that I watched him draw up in practice was the craziest stuff I've ever seen. Like, and him talking trash to the defense was so fun. Like, I have to ask you.
It's against Mott too. It's
Coach that's what's the best,
bro. Like, there was times where we'd sit. I don't know if I should say this, but there were times where it got very competitive, and there was So it was,
I've seen quarterbacks play, but I mean the defense will even tell you. Coach Rez will pick anybody apart. Like he just stands back there and throws the ball.
He himself.
Yeah.
Yes, I was like, dude, in this league, and all respect to Panasuk, I have all the respect in the world for Panasuk. He came out and he won us a playoff game. And before I even met the guy, because I had no idea who he was, and I was like, Rez, why don't you just throw on a helmet and shoulder pads? We can play rim, and if things go side to side, why don't you just play quarterback? He's like, dude, in this league we can do whatever the fuck we want. I'm not rolling it out.
Yeah. I even talked to AJ Roque, who's the head coach for the Bearcats.
Yep.
And with Cologne out, he said, I even contemplated it. He said, I thought about it. He said when he seen Panasuk. And I told him, I said, you know what we should have done is put Coach Rez on one side and him on the other and have him coach the game and also play quarterback.
Dude.
Like, how entertaining would that have been?
That game was really intense. That was easily my most intense game as a pro. And I haven't been a part of exciting, meaningful football since high school. And then my senior night against Dub J, it was 33-7.5, and we ended up losing that game 28-33. So, and I mean, it wasn't a meaningful game, but we've only beat Dub J 9 times in the entire rivalry, so it would have been a sweet one. But meaningful football is something that I haven't seen since that I've signed, and then that meaningful, tense football game. I haven't been a part of that, but thankfully, I have the mentality to be there and be in that moment, and to have Rez versus Roque, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
That would have been a lot of fun.
You ain't a kidding. That would have been crazy. And we talked about it. And he was like, I was down because he's like, if I knew Panasuk was going to be out here, I'd suit up.
Now, respect to Coach Roque, because I have a lot of respect for him. He's the owner of the league. Obviously he's a good coach. How many times do you think he could get hit by our defense and get up?
I mean, there's some scary guys down there. I mean, there's
Rez too. I obviously I have to put my money on Rez. There's nobody else I put my money on. But and all respect to Jersey because they're a talented football team. They have a couple of good guys. But they didn't have the team like we did.
Right.
So I don't know how active Roque is in the gym or whatever. But it would have been fun to see. It would have been, and it still probably would have been competitive. But we should have did it that way for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I pitched it to him, and he said I would have been down, and Rez would have been all for it. Like it had just been hysterical.
Rez would have said some shit like, "Hey, Roque, 500 on this game."
Right. Like they would have been like, all right, like let's throw some bills down. Let's go. So you talked about this year's team, and Coach Rez has said it multiple times. What a great character team it was, and everybody just kind of gelled, and there was a lot of moving parts sometimes. Everybody was in and out. You took last year's team moving into this year. What would you like to take from that team last year going into the NAL this year?
What I like to take from this team?
From the team you were just on?
I would say all the guys.
Yeah.
And it's a very arena is so different from outdoor. And so you kind of have guys that are put into roles, right? Like my role, I didn't get the ball hardly at all. My role was, hey, if you're fullback, don't let a sucker by you. If you're on a line, you got to block, obviously, and your D-line, you're playing knock back on the running back. So to me, like, my roles weren't exactly the most exciting for the highlight tape, but I'm going to make sure that I run through that guy's face every play. So, like, for me, like, and I'm not the only one buying in. Like, everyone is buying into said role. Like, dude, if we had 3 Grant Russells, it wouldn't work. If we had 3 Jeremiah Flores, it wouldn't work.
Right.
If we had 3 JJ, I don't even his name, Jaden Johnson.
Yeah.
JJ, yeah. If we have 5 JJs, this is not going to work. So, everyone buying into what they have to do. Everyone was coachable. There was very little selfishness, and if there was, hey, I need a touchdown, it wasn't because, hey, I worry about my stats and I worry about this. It's just being a competitor. You want to have that to feel like you had an impact on the game. So everyone's bought in. Nobody's selfish. It's taking that going into next year. Obviously we're going to have to bring in some guys, and obviously we're going to have to let some guys go. That's just the business. It's a higher league. That's the business. You have to do that. But to that locker room, if we have that locker room, I don't have anything to worry about going into next year. Because I know that not only are we going to step it up in practice because we have to, but we're going to band together and do what we have to do, because why wouldn't we? But that's all that we do. No matter if our quarterback's on a honeymoon or not, like, that's what we do. So, we band together and we get it done however we have to.
Yeah, that whole thing with him going to Hawaii and stuff was hysterical. And then
the funny part about it is he had celebrations.
Yes, that's what I was just about to bring up.
He had the Hawaiian, like,
the luau dance.
Perfect. That's my guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, having a quarterback. He's selfless. He's humble. He's self-aware. And when it's time to let loose and have fun, he does. Like, when you have a quarterback quality, like, the quarterback's more like anybody else. You have to think about the personality. Like, wide receivers, I'm open, give me the ball. That comes with it, right?
Yeah.
So you can get away with that. But quarterbacks, you have to have the mental and the personality to do it. So, like, Grant checks all the boxes. It's like, hey, did you have the right amount of sex this week? You wouldn't ask that for any other position. It's like, yeah, Grant, you good? All right, cool. It's like, make sure you wait 48 hours before the game, because for some reason that shit matters. But it's very complicated in a quarterback's mind. Jokes aside, obviously. Yeah, it's like, right, film, working out, you're doing your shoulder rehab. Like, because if you don't do that, you're not going to see the result on Saturday that you want to see.
Right.
And Grant checks those boxes. So, and if you have a quarterback that takes it too seriously all the time, that can't let loose, that can't jig around, you're going to get guys burn out. So he doesn't have that either. So I'm grateful for him to be my quarterback, and going into arena or even outdoor. I wouldn't. He's definitely 1-1.
Yeah, he's definitely just a great guy, great character guy, and like you said, he checks all the boxes, gets everything done. Well, Joel, I appreciate you stepping into the show today, and between everything, the technical difficulties, you've definitely made the show interesting today. So we appreciate you coming and hanging out with us.
Yeah, man, of course. Are we out of time?
No, we're just. I mean, if you want to talk more, we talk more. It don't matter. We got all day, brother, man.
I don't have anything to do. So if you guys are good, I'm good. I don't need to be let go to anything. The only thing that I got waiting for me is this. All right.
That's exactly what we're waiting on. That's where we're heading. Exactly where we're heading.
So, I'm trying to see how many times I can hit the transfer portal. What do you mean?
Whenever you guys are done, I'll be done. But if you guys are good to go, I'm good to go.
So let me ask it: are you streaming anywhere? Are you streaming at all?
I stream, but to be honest, the middle schoolers found my stream, and they're the only ones that watch anyway. So, but I do stream on Twitch.
That's us too. We stream normally Friday and Saturday nights, and if 2 or 3 people come along, then we're good. Like we're good with it. But it took us a little bit. We were trying to figure out how to get everybody on the screen, because that's what we wanted, was a setup kind of like this where everybody's there.
I'd love to learn how to plug my webcam into my Xbox so I have that shot. But I don't know how to do that. I'm not smart enough. So
it's literally plug and play. All you gotta do is plug it in.
All right. Yeah, we'll do that.
So
what team are you going with when we do this franchise?
I see Izzy and I are gonna have to fight because I'm taking my nose. Like there's no other time. I got some retribution, man. I gotta get my retribution.
That's fine. If you're taking Florida State, then I'm not taking Syracuse. I'm just letting you know that.
Well, you figure though. I mean, if we're gonna get all these people in there, there's probably gonna be like 20, 25 people in this thing at this point.
So not everybody's gonna pick a team that needs to build a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't want to pick Pitt. I'll probably pick Colorado or somebody else. Colorado would probably not give me a chance either because Shadir's only there for 1 year.
I'm trying to pick, West Virginia. I think that's what I'm going to go with.
WV would be nice.
That'd be
so I forgot to ask you about that. So thank you for bringing that up, Ruby. Flowers and Mason are playing in that basically 7-on-7. No offensive linemen, no kickers. It's basically just a 7-on-7 scrimmage.
Yeah.
Like have you seen it? Have you watched it at all? Have you looked at it?
I've seen some clips. You know, most of the time when they're playing, I'm at work. So then that was why I was late today. I was just late getting out of the bar. I bartended at Ellie's in Carnegie. And Ellie's in the Meadowlands. Great places to go. Great owners. Great people. So I don't get to see a lot of it. But, you know, what I know is that they're very good football players. And very good football players do what very good football players do. And they ball out. So it wasn't the expectation for them was to be impact players right away. And it's funny because they're in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get them to I'm starting a life insurance sales team. I'm trying to get them to join. And so we set it up. They're like, all right, 8:00 meeting. Good. Everybody's good. And the meeting comes along and it's only Izzy in there. And I'm like, what the hell happened? And they're like, well, we were sitting there waiting for the call to come. It's 7:30. Because they're an hour behind. We had no idea time difference.
Oh, yeah, because they're in Minnesota. Yeah.
They're going out in Minnesota. They're doing what they do. And, you know, hopefully they stay healthy, get the paycheck, get a championship, because that's what winners win.
Yeah. That's what's nice. I mean, for the skill guys and quarterbacks and things, that's a good league. But, I mean, unfortunately, no kicking, no offensive lineman, no defensive lineman. They have a center
and a D tackle, don't they?
They just have – and he can go – he's eligible. So, I mean, if you want to go learn how to snap, you can score some touchdowns out there, man. I mean,
because in middle school, I tried to show them how to snap, and I'm like, do it like this, and I'd send it 6 feet over the 5'4" quarterback's head. They're like, Coach Zellem, you don't even know how to snap. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I have no idea.
So, where can the fans follow you at? You got all socials. You got a few socials.
Yeah. So I'm on Twitter. It's at Joel1Zellem. I'm on Instagram. That's what I use the most, the big athlete. And, dude, if somebody adds me on Facebook, like, I've had a few fans add me on Facebook. It's like, I'm not adding you back. Like, I'm sorry. I try to keep Facebook to people that I know. I have way too many friends already as it is. And, like, I keep going through. It's like, I haven't talked to him in 6 years. Like, it's Facebook. Like, I don't need all that. It's for friends and family, aunts and uncles, cousins. But, Instagram, the big athlete, and Twitter, Joel1Zellem, and Twitch, athlete, ATHLELITE. If anybody wants to Twitch, I can't imagine it'd be a lot of people, but
listen, we'll definitely give it a follow. We're in the same boat you are. We streamed to probably maybe 4 people. Like it's getting there. It's like trying to grind out the underdog in NCAA. Like
I was streaming Ultimate Team on NCAA. And I had probably 8 or 9 middle schoolers play Road to Glory, play Road to Glory, play Road to Glory. So I went and played Road to Glory, and 7 of them left. It's like, I did what you wanted me to do, and now I'm hooked on Road to Glory, and I don't want to go back to my Ultimate Team. I'm going to get behind. I'm not spending any money. Like, I have to grind the challenges. Like, and y'all left. But now I want to play Road to Glory. Like, this is the best kind of suck you could have.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we've been playing is Road to Glory. So, but yeah, we'll definitely have to see if we can get into the dynasty.
Put some feelers out if you know anybody who wants to play.
Well, if we have 25 already, there's only 7 more slots. So.
Well, I was just throwing a number out there because I felt like there was a lot of people that were like, "Hey, I'll get in." And
I'll get my boy right now to see if he wants to join because he's a nut for this kind of stuff, and he ain't playing Ultimate Team because he hates me. But, I'm FaceTiming him right now. I'll ask him.
Yo, this is Pat McAfee shit right here, man.
I'm live right now. with the boys. What's the podcast called?
Boys from the Wheel.
Boys from the Wheel. Okay. I'm on a podcast, and we're talking about doing a connected franchise with all the guys on the podcast and a bunch of guys from Wheeling. Do you want to go in the connected franchise on NCAA?
How many people?
At least 20?
Jesus.
It may be like 15 to 10, but we're not sure. We don't know who's serious, who's not.
10 to
but
20.
I mean, yeah, give or take.
He guesses he'll give it a try.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll be on in a minute.
Look at him making calls right on the show, like signing contracts already.
Hey, look. Live in the now,
Making deals. I love it.
Do you know LeBron by chance?
I wish. That's his jersey right here.
Oh yeah, it's in the back. I didn't even see it.
It's the Heat, Lakers, Cavs. That's cool.
Ah, okay.
Okay. All right.
There you
I
go.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm a LeBron fan. I get around.
I am a LeBron fan as well.
Yeah.
I'm a Cavs fan all the time, but I'm a LeBron.
I have no idea what I'm going to do when he retires. I like the Lakers and the Heat and the Cavs.
Yeah.
So,
I need him to come back to Cleveland, buy the Cavs, and retire.
he doesn't have enough money to buy the Cavs.
He's a billionaire.
He's a few billion short.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And like being an owner is something that I've always wanted to do. Like anytime, like I'm in a franchise, I'm an owner. Like I would love to own a team.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I'm like $6.5 billion short.
Hey, at least your heart's in it. Like, let's go. At least your heart's in it.
I guess I'll have to coach. We'll see.
Well, we're not going to keep you any longer. We'll let you get back to your road to glory because we got to get back to ours as well.
Sure.
I mean, by the time we're getting stuck here, there's enough NIL deals that we're missing, and they're probably getting a transfer in, and we're probably sitting on the bench. So I mean,
Dude, I had a 96 speed, 94 throw power quarterback, and I was right there. I was in the top 3. I was favored for him to commit, and then I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And again, the highs and lows, the anger. It's like this guy. Well, Isaac Minor, because my brother's name is Isaac, and it's Miner. So it was like, dude, destiny.
yeah.
Isaac Minor, let me, and Rutgers at the last minute, and I'm no. And then Bruce Everson, same thing. Looks like Johnny Manziel on the scouting card. Had him. Pitt got him. Like, all right. So now I don't have a quarterback. So pray for me.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely run through that.
For us.
Yeah, right.
Well, dude's going to Michigan, so he should be fine.
Bro,
Well, I mean, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong.
We beat Fresno State by 2.
Yeah, but
Better
you
get
can
it figured out.
You can get whatever
Sean.
you want. I'm at
Sean,
Kent
that's
State.
because
Yeah,
your
2
thumbs are
interceptions
touching the
in
sticks.
First 2 quarters. It was not good football.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Sean,
I
your
probably
thumbs
should
are on the
Michigan.
sticks. That's why.
Yeah. That's not a lie.
Oh my God.
Anytime you want me on, though, guys, I will.
Absolutely.
I happily-
Absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
next time I won't get out of work late. It was a bad one today.
You're good. You're good. We'll have to work on getting you and Vos both on here. That'd be a hell
I
of a
told him I
time.
was coming on at 8. He always answers his phone, and he didn't answer his phone, so I'm sure
Yeah.
he was doing his own thing. But yeah, that's my guy. That's literally.
Oh yeah.
That's my brother. So I can't speak because like you talked about him in the combine. Like if it wasn't for Prevost letting a 6'4", 300-pound lineman play tight end, we might not be here. So
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Man, I can't take the credit for it. God did it." You know.
Yeah.
So,
That's good stuff, man. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. We've had a blast with this. This has been fantastic. Joel, I hope your computer doesn't crash in. I mean, and hopefully your Xbox doesn't crash tonight. That would be terrible.
don't wish that upon me.
I'm not. I'm not trying to speak into an experience at all. Oh my God. Well, guys, this has been the Boys from the Wheel podcast. We'll catch you next time.